months to September. We're live now to the Chief Executive of Loganair, Jonathan Hinkles, and to David Evans. He's the Chief Executive of Collinson, which already offers testing services at Heathrow. Jonathan, let me start with you. Is this task force a step in the right direction?
It can only be a step in the right direction, but we've now got to make some real progress and do that quickly. A previous task force was set up to do exactly this job back in June. That was disbanded. We're now effectively starting the clock again, and the industry has not got another 4 months to waste to get this up and running. During that time, we've seen other countries press ahead with testing on arrival. We've seen this debilitating quarantine rules that are constantly changing. Really confidence. People do not make forward bookings on that basis. So we've now got to make progress, and we've got to make that progress rapidly.
So do you have any optimism that that will happen?
I think it's early days yet, but I think, there seems to be a commitment to do that. But as I say, we were here back in June with the announcement of a task force to do exactly this. But essentially, the industry now, the loss of connectivity, the loss of jobs that's taken place, we can't fix what's gone before, but what we can do now is look to the future, get this into place quickly and start to get this industry working again. Because without it, people don't have the confidence to book. Airlines then cut their schedules back, which then inconveniences the few people who have booked, who then lose confidence. It's a vicious circle, and we're going to be trapped in that, whirling around like a leaf in an autumn storm until we can actually put some certainty into this and then start to address the economic issues behind getting the industry back on its feet again, such as with air passenger duty.
Well, David Evans, let me bring you in. You're already offering testing services at Heathrow, but how far away do you think we are from getting this all government sanctioned?
Look, I'm with Jonathan in my optimism that actually this is the final step before we can get testing live and really start to get the aviation sector and the tourism sector moving again. It is important that we really do something that gets us live real-world data that ensures that we can protect the people at large here in the UK, but at the same time recognise that it's always less than fewer than 1% of people who've got it, and we can get 99% of the travelling public back out again. So we're optimistic. I think this task force will actually come to a solution, but as Jonathan says, it needs to make decisions and it needs to get recommendations out very, very quickly.
I mean, Grant Shapps, the Transport Secretary, said only last month that he didn't think, he said airport testing is no silver bullet. Why do you think he's had a change of heart?
I think hopefully he's starting to see some of the data that other countries are pushing. We, as Collinson, have been collecting data across our offices globally, working with a number of other governments, and we've been pushing that through to Grant Shapps and to his team. Just recently, Air Canada conducted a survey where they were running a trial. They've done about 18,000 passengers for a 2-test trial, again recognising that the single test does, as per Jersey and Germany, capture the largest majority of people who've got corona. So I think they're starting to recognise that the UK is behind the curve in testing. They recognise that the data that's out there is disproving their model that they've been talking about. This 7% was back in January. And they recognise that we've got to do something because the industry is going to be on its knees and this virus is going to be with us for a number of months to go.
Jonathan, what have load factors been like recently on your international flights?
Very low, and we have suspended a number of routes in response to quarantine because the number of people still travelling with the restrictions in place have been so low. So some of our services to Norway, for example, we've completely suspended for the winter season ahead. And even on domestic flights where there is no quarantine, the customer confidence to be able to get on an aeroplane in terms of that is still relatively low. We're looking at load factors at the 50% mark across the route network right now. So it has to move forward. It genuinely has to. And that's why we'll be looking with the government to try and make as much progress as we can, as quickly as we can, now that we've got a task force dialogue back open again.
Jonathan, what about Scotland in particular? I know Christmas is very, very important to you in terms of people flying from the big cities to the islands. You haven't had any guidance yet from the First Minister on whether restrictions are going to be lifted?
We haven't, no, indeed, and being able to plan for that and that sort of annual movement of people back to visit friends and family, at the moment you can't travel at all because you cannot stay with friends and family, you cannot go into somebody else's house across the whole of Scotland. So that is important. We saw earlier that when the tourism market was reopening in Scotland, we were given a forward date around which we could plan on the 15th of July, so tourism businesses can get themselves into a place to open again. We really could do with some similar guidance around that as to what the end game is. I think it's not only important for business, I think it's also actually quite important in terms of being able to get buy-in from people as to the measures you're asking them to take in their personal everyday lives, to be able to say, right, here's where we're trying to go with this. And I think that kind of light at the end of the tunnel is distinctly absent in a lot of people's minds right now.
OK, Jonathan Hinkles, David Evans, thanks both for joining me.